Hello, welcome to our first ever video episode. This is Tay and Nin Talk, and today we're going to give you a review of Batman v Superman.
We're gonna do a non-spoiler and then a spoiler review.
Non-spoilers first, and alright, and get into it.
So basically,
Saw it yesterday.
this movie is directed by Zack Snyder. He's known for 300, Watchmen. So this movie is gonna be a little similar to those visually and thematically a little bit. So if you liked the themes of Watchmen, then you might like the themes of this movie. It's about Superman. And one of the best parts about this movie is that it's about the end of Man of Steel, where he killed a bunch of people. Well, he didn't kill him, but the fight.
This is the only good part about the movie that I liked is the main beginning of the movie starts out where it's the aftermath of Man of Steel, and you follow Bruce Wayne, and he's in Metropolis while it's happening. So this movie won't make any sense if you haven't seen Man of Steel. But I wasn't a huge fan of Man of Steel, but this one definitely was pretty much the same quality as Man of Steel. So if you like Man of Steel, you'll probably like this one.
They're trying to set up the whole DC universe, kind of like the Avengers universe. So it's like the Avengers, and there's going to be some references in this movie to other characters that are in the Justice League. And that was actually one of my big flaws. This movie is a little too focused on trying to set up the universe, and it's not quite as focused on making a good standalone movie with a good cohesive plot.
Yeah. The worst scenes in this movie are the scenes where they try to set up for the Justice League. They're jarring, they don't make any sense, and really I would say that there's about 5 to 10 scenes in this movie that should have been part of the after the credits scene, but they put it during the movie. Like, imagine if you're watching Avengers, but then the shawarma scene is actually in the movie. It's just dumb. It doesn't make any sense, and it's not fun to watch.
My favorite part about the setting up the universe, though, was definitely Wonder Woman. She wasn't a big part of the movie. She was just there at the start and at the end. But her character was awesome, the actress was awesome, and there's some cool action. So I did like that setup for Justice League and the Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah, I liked Wonder Woman. They barely used her, but when they used her, she was well utilized. The plot on this one, it involves Lex Luthor, played by Jesse Eisenberg, who was bad. He wasn't very good. He's playing a psychotic Lex Luthor, and I grew up with a Lex Luthor that was the same stature as Superman from the cartoons, and also the Gene Hackman version. So Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor just seemed lame to me. He was stammering, mumbling, he couldn't speak, and he was just had a high-pitched, annoying voice.
And for some reason he just hated Superman and hated the idea that there would be some powerful alien.
Yeah, he wasn't developed very well. And the thing about him is if he wasn't so over the top, he could have been good. They needed to dial him back a little bit. It was way too over the top for Lex Luthor, and he was not intimidating, and I didn't believe him as a real villain at all. There was only one good scene that involved Lex Luthor, but he wasn't even in the scene. That's a spoiler.
Also, his whole plan in the movie.
Yeah.
Because Lex Luthor has an evil plan, and that involves Superman and Batman getting into a fight. And the plan is pretty stupid. Like,
that's one of the dumbest things, is because Batman has obvious motivations for the fight, and they really do a great job of setting up Batman in this first part of the movie. But then
because they show Batman, it's in the trailers. They show his Wayne Enterprise building collapsing. So Batman has a motive to hate Superman.
Right, and it makes perfect sense. But Superman, the motivation they give Superman to fight Batman, is just like the writers made it. It wasn't even a real motivation. It was just lame, I thought. And it was the same plot you could see on any like TV show, like Walker Texas Ranger. It has the same plot as every episode of Walker. It's lame. And it's just... But what about the fight? Did you actually like the fight, though, Nin?
I did. The action scenes in general were my favorite part of the movie, because the direction is cool, but the fight, it was like nothing to write home about, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of the critics I'm hearing they're saying the movie is terrible, but they love the fights. I didn't even like the fights.
Actually, the Superman Batman fight was not my favorite fight.
No.
My favorite fight was Batman versus some goons, and it
Yeah.
was like so
That
cool.
was actually a good fight. That was cool. Batman takes on a couple of some guards and stuff, and that was a good fight. But the actual fight, Batman v Superman, I just thought it was average. I just don't like these fights in Man of Steel and in this movie. The fights just consist of extremely strong punches where somebody flies through a bunch of walls. It's not entertaining to me. It's just like a big explosion. It's just
There was
not fun to watch.
a little less of that in the Batman versus Superman fight. There's more fisticuffs.
Yeah, I liked what Batman did. It was a solid fight, but it didn't leave me saying, "Wow, that was great." Like in 300, another movie by Snyder, 300, you remember the fights. They were well choreographed and they were entertaining to watch. But in this one, it just seems like a big brawl. Pick up the other guy, throw him through a couple buildings, and just punch him really hard, and it didn't do anything for me.
And also, there's a fight at the big final fight.
That was okay,
Is okay. It's against a CGI guy.
Yeah, it was just
So-
it just comes off as another CGI battle, a huge explosion fest, a lot of electricity flying everywhere, and the only reason I enjoyed the fight sort of was because I was interested in what Wonder Woman was doing during that fight, because she was actually the coolest person in the fight, because she uses a sword, so she actually had some actual attacks, whereas the bad guy and Superman, they just punch really hard through buildings. That's pretty much it.
hmm
But we need to get into spoilers for this movie, so
Oh, hold on.
what?
A little bit about Ben Affleck and Superman, Henry Cavill.
Okay.
I want to talk about Ben Affleck. I think he's actually a really great Batman and a good Bruce Wayne. I'm impressed.
I've been hearing about how great he is. I have yet to see a great Batman.
Well, it's not all Batman's movie, so we're just gonna get snippets of Batman.
I think the critics kind of I think they were looking for something to be really good, and they didn't want to totally take a crap on the movie, so they had to find something that was good. Batman was pretty good, so they really jumped on the Batman hype train, but the Batman is not that great, in my opinion, because he fights a lot of thugs, and he does some cool stuff, but I liked Bruce Wayne more than I liked Batman. Batman was just kind of just annoying. I can't get into it without spoilers.
It's hard to know about Batman because we don't know where he trained or whatever.
Maybe I'll like him better in the future, but
We don't know his backstory.
Yeah, they kind of brought back. They introduced he has a new philosophy on life, and I'm not a fan of it. So
He's not the typical Batman.
yeah,
He's much more brutal.
It's a new take on it. It's different than Nolan Batman. It's different than the Batman '89. But as of right now, I still prefer Nolan's Batman by far.
If you ever played the Rocksteady Batman games, the one from Arkham Knight is pretty much the Affleck one.
This is even more severe than that one.
Well, in that one, he was the most violent.
Yeah.
He's like a high-powered super gadget guy.
The thing about this movie is it's rated PG, but I don't know how they got away with PG-13 or whatever, because it's just as violent as Matrix, but there's the only difference is there's not much blood, but it's extremely violent, which goes along with the tone that these DC movies are trying to create. They're trying to have a really dark tone. It just depresses me. It's not that fun to watch, and I think the key is for a movie is if they can get you to feel the emotions that they're trying to get you to feel. In this one, it feels like they're trying really hard to make it really depressing and to depress you and just make it seem really cool. But I wasn't really buying it. It wasn't that believable to me that it should be that dark. Like with Dark Knight, it's buyable because it just feels realistic in that world, and the tone they're setting is perfectly realized. So you can buy into it totally, but in this one, it's all over the place.
I kind of just realized Batman and Superman are completely different tonally.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have Nolan's Batman movies that work perfectly with a dark tone, and then you have Superman, who pretty much is always at his best when he's in a campy feel.
Or at least in a lighthearted tone with bright colors and stuff.
Like Christopher Reeve, you can't get better than that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't like Man of Steel because there was no jokes. The tone was pure pitch black, and it was too depressing.
Yeah, it's the same in this one. The tone is just as dark as Man of Steel. It's basically Man of Steel 2 pretty much with Batman in it. I was really enjoying this movie for the first 45 minutes, and then it just didn't go anywhere that I was interested in. The action, I was not interested in the characters, and therefore the action scenes, I didn't care about them as much. The villains were not that entertaining to me, and in the end, I think the last 10 minutes were crap. So.
Oh, that's true. Also, it drug on way too long. It's
Yeah,
like 2.5 hours.
It drags on at the last 10 minutes, and it's totally something that's so stupid that it's just lame. So why don't we score and move on to spoilers?
Okay. I'd give it a 6.9.
I'd give it 6.0 out of 10. It's an okay movie. There's going to be some fans of it. There's going to be some of the mainstream audience is going to hate it. Some is going to love it. For me, it was just average. And I actually say Man of Steel was a better movie.
I think I liked it a little more than you. I feel like even though there are so many flaws that you can analyze, I still thought it was completely awesome.
Alright, now that we've scored it, let's get into some spoilers. Alright, and what's the biggest spoiler you can think of?
Well, let's just go straight through the movie. I mean, the first scene, I actually like the first scene showing the slow-mo, like, gun on the pearls.
That I was actually a little mad on that scene, to be honest. It was well shot, but I don't really care about seeing
cool.
Bruce Wayne's parents die again.
Well, it was interesting because it didn't. They weren't in an alley, right? They were just on the.
They were just
sidewalk.
walking away from the theater again.
That's interesting, because it always shows it's in an alley.
Oh, they're not in an alley. They're in front of the theater.
No, it's less cliche because you always think like, oh, they're just walking down some dark alley, and you're like,
okay,
why are they not?
It's not.
Smart?
It's not a big point, but let's move on. I liked how Bruce Wayne was running through Metropolis and he sees the building that goes down, and it kills all the people that work for him, and then later it comes back to bite him because all the people are angry about it, like the guy that loses his legs and stuff. I liked that plot point. And my big problem with the movie is they never get into any of the philosophical stuff. They bring it up at the start, but it never pays off. There's a debate: should Superman rescue people or not? But they never get into it. They just bring it up. They never get into it.
The philosophical stuff does definitely drop off at the end, and then
Right.
they try to reel it back in at the end with the Superman God symbolism.
The Superman God symbolism that's been done to death, and they really beat the dead horse in this one.
I don't know when they started doing that. Like,
I don't know.
Superman was never a God symbol until like Man of Steel.
No, he's always been a God symbol. I mean, it's the easiest
Well, he has
cliche.
godlike powers.
He always has the extreme powers, and he's always as a metaphor for Jesus. But
Always?
pretty much, I mean, I don't know if they thought of that when they made him, but as soon as somebody thought of it, they've been doing it ever since.
But then they did the whole dying and then rising again.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about during the non-spoiler section. When Superman dies, they spend 10 minutes, 10 extremely long, drug-out funeral scenes and mourning scenes, and Martha Kent with tears in her eyes. But we never gave a rip because we knew Superman was going to come back to life at the end. I was thinking, there is no way they're going to open up a Justice League movie with Superman being dead. There's not going to do that. They're setting up Justice League. They should have never thrown in the plot where Superman dies. He should have just killed Doomsday himself and not died. They threw it in there for an extra plot point that was a waste of time. It wasted 25 minutes.
Well, I think they were trying to respect the death of Superman's story, and it didn't quite work.
They were
because
cramming everything in.
It was too crammed.
They crammed. That was Doomsday was lame. They had Lex Luthor enter the Kryptonian ship, and he is able to get in the ship using Zod's fingerprints. And then this is one of the dumbest parts of the movie. And anybody that knows anything about computer security would know this is the stupidest thing. Because he goes in the ship using Zod's fingerprints. Okay, that's possible. He goes in. He brings Zod's dead body into the machine. And it says, oh, look, you have Zod's dead body. And then he says, alright, I'd like to take over the ship. And they just say, oh, okay. So any person can come into your ship, highly advanced weapon ship, and take it over as long as they have the dead body of one of your commanders. Does that make sense? No. And not only that, they can build a super killing machine out of that dead body, all just in this ship. And they explain it away with, oh, we have Kryptonian knowledge. I guess they skipped over the part where we have 100,000 years of Kryptonian knowledge. Well, that explains it. It was just lazy. It was not entertaining in the least.
Lazy script writing just to get a big CGI finish.
Right. They just had to have a huge battle. They're like, oh, Doomsday. How can we make Doomsday? Oh, I know. He's born out of the ship. It was dumb.
But then again, it would have been dumb if they had used the actual storyline of Doomsday, because it would have just been way too random. Because in the actual storyline, he's just a random alien.
Yeah, that's true.
That would have been
that's
too
the
random.
thing. Why add Doomsday to this movie? It was just dumb. Take out the entire Doomsday plot. Make it so Lex Luthor is scheming to have Batman and Superman fight. Make the final fight Batman versus Superman.
Definitely.
Spend the start of the first hour establishing the themes and the philosophical element, the different philosophies. Superman's beliefs about life versus Batman's. Then Lex is manipulating both of them. He's the villain behind it. Then at the end they fight, but then at the last moment they realize that it's really Lex and they should team up. Get rid of the Doomsday plot. It adds nothing to the film except more CGI.
They could even have like a CGI purple and green Lex suit.
No, that would be
even
stupid.
be better.
No, that would be stupid. But what were some of the other things?
One of the best scenes in the movie was the peach tea scene.
Yeah, that was the only good scene I liked a lot, was because the senator mentions that a cup of pee is the same as peach tea or something. And then Lex plants the cup of his own pee next to her as she's speaking at an event, and it was just like, oh, he remembered that line. He's not all dumb.
Like, you didn't expect it from this movie, like an actual clever callback.
Yeah, that was actually clever.
Really humorous, but then it's just like,
and
boom,
it just shows how
exploded.
evil he is, because the entire building
Lex
explodes.
is actually evil.
Yeah, that was actually good, and the only good Lex scene is the one he's not in.
Oh, I also got to bring up, Lois is in this movie. We didn't bring it up, but
oh yeah,
Lois is okay. Actress is okay.
She's
but
just there.
She's just there, and then by the end of it, she's kind of just getting crammed in there.
I hated how Lois was always falling and Superman was saving her at the last second. Like, for example, she throws the spear down the pool at the end, and then she dies down to get it, and then Superman has to save her again. Just cut out that entire... It's pointless. Have Lois just leave the spear on the ground, and then she doesn't need to start drowning, and then Superman doesn't need to save her. There, you cut out 5 minutes of worthless, pointless stuff.
Also, the death didn't really feel earned, because anyone watching the movie would know that Wonder Woman could have easily stabbed Doomsday with the trident thing.
That annoyed me so much. It's like, they're trying to make it really epic. Oh, Superman, he's making the ultimate sacrifice. He's saving our lives. But he could have easily tossed the spear with the kryptonite on it to Wonder Woman. Then Superman holds Doomsday while Wonder Woman stabs him. Nobody has to die. It's so stupid. It was just
lazy.
It was just like, oh, Superman's the only one that can do it. Well, except Wonder Woman.
It's like...
She was wrecking Doomsday. She was cutting off his limbs. She should have done that.
But he was getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, but I think they had time to throw each other a spear.
Yeah, so that was stupid.
Yeah, like, remember how Bruce, he shot his kryptonite grenade at him? Bruce shoots the kryptonite grenade, Superman throws the spear to Wonder Woman, then he holds down Doomsday because he's dazed from the kryptonite, and then she stabs him. Boom. He's dead, no casualties.
It's over, but they gotta make a dramatic ending out of it.
Yeah, they just had to go with the death. I'm tired of somebody dying in the superhero movies. The first movie that kills their hero and leaves him dead will get props from me. But so far there hasn't been any good ones.
Also, I gotta bring up the narrative of this movie is almost broken. Like,
yeah,
you have these random scenes in it.
Apparently, there's a 3-hour cut, and you could tell they were cutting out big sections of the film.
The worst thing they did was they had like a dream sequence within a dream sequence that was so confusing that no one who doesn't read comics every single day would understand. It was so bad.
Yeah, the average viewer would just be dumbfounded by that scene.
Batman dreaming about Apocalypse, and I know about the comics, and I was just like, what's going on here? Then he wakes up, and then Flash comes back from time and space.
Flash comes through a wormhole right after he's had another flashback, and then after Flash warns him...
Oh, it was a flashback.
And and then he wakes up from that one, so it's a double flashback. The ultimate no-no in filmmaking.
Yeah. And then Batman doesn't even like respond to that scene for the rest of the movie. It was just like they threw it in there.
Oh, let's bring up the worst scene in the movie. Is when right before Batman and Superman are fighting, Batman's got the bat signal in the sky. He's bringing it over, and then, oh, Wonder Woman, new email.
New email.
And then she spends 10 minutes looking at her emails, and she looks at videos of each superhero that's coming up. Those should have been an end of the credits scene.
And then
they put it right before the battle.
It's like the battle's leading up to it. Cut, we get the email scene, and then cut. It's the battle.
Yeah, it was just
literally like they just
copied and pasted it right in there.
Cut a scene from the thing and inserted that. It completely ruined the Batman versus Superman fight because I was taken out of the awesome moment.
Yeah, it was not cool at all.
Come on, man.
That was lame. So this is the kind of movie where the more you watch it, the more you'll hate it, I think. But this will be good for Dark Knight Rises because people will be able to. This one has. If you think Dark Knight Rises has plot holes, this movie will be like Swiss cheese for you. You'll have a notepad. You'll be like writing down all the things you hate if you didn't like that one. So
especially like the plot to get Superman to fight Lex was kidnap Martha.
Kidnap Martha.
That made no sense.
Kidnap Martha, and then how'd you feel about Batman saying, "Wait, why'd you say Martha?"
That was okay.
I kind of liked that part. That was okay.
He was like about to kill Superman, and then like he said Martha. That was kind of cool.
It was interesting.
I never realized.
It just shows how unstable Batman is. He's just like he's willing to kill people, but then if they mention his dead parents, then he's like, "Oh, I'll snap out of it." It just made. Oh yeah, that's the thing about this Batman. He's unhinged. He kills people all the time. He just kills them randomly. He's essentially the Punisher in this movie.
Pretty much. I mean, we don't know what his backstory is.
The only thing he didn't use is a machine gun in his hands. He used his
he literally did in that dream sequence.
Yeah, in the dream sequence, he did use a machine gun. And then in his bat plane has a gun. He mows down a bunch of guys in a truck. Basically, they kind of made the character pointless. The whole reason you have Batman is because he doesn't kill people. He's willing to break the law yet still maintain a moral code. In this one, it's like he's been broken. Maybe they'll establish it in the future that he used to have a moral code and Joker broke it. But in this, as far as this film by itself goes, it doesn't make any sense. And they never even mention it. It's just like, oh, Batman's killing some more guys, but nobody even notices it. It's just like it's normal for him. So that was not cool. I didn't like that much.
And to me, just watching this movie is a little unsatisfying because there's no clear good guy and bad guy. There's no right or wrong. Like when I watch Superman, I always want to just root for Superman.
I was rooting for Superman, but the problem was Henry Cavill is good in the movie, but they give him barely any dialogue. They don't have him do anything really.
He doesn't seem like Superman. He's just like an angsty teen who has to talk to his mom because he's so confused.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. He's like an adult, but he's mute.
Yeah, he's just mute. Like
he's like the show scenes where he's like, what do I think about this? But they never have him speak to the audience or to any other characters about how he's feeling or what he's thinking about.
And we get that scene with Batman. He's
right.
Like yelling
Batman's
at Alfred.
Alfred is in this for barely anything. I like that scene where he talks to Alfred.
Yeah.
But it's random, messy. The only saving grace of this movie will be maybe the rated R cut. Well, those extra 20 minutes were the development to the scenes we needed for this to make sense, but I kind of doubt it. So.
And the second saving grace is that fight when Batman's beating up the goons I talked about.
That was a good fight.
That was so cool. Like it was ripped out of the Arkham games.
Really? Yeah, the fighting style was just like Arkham.
And it was like completely new. Like the guy walked up behind him and shot him in the head.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. He shot him in the head and it didn't kill him. It bounced off his helmet.
Why doesn't Batman have a bulletproof helmet? Like you don't think about that.
Yeah.
But if Batman was really rich, he wouldn't just wear spandex. He would wear bulletproof armor.
Well, I don't think you can have armor that's point blank bulletproof, can you?
Well, it was just a pistol.
I don't know.
But it's pretty unrealistic.
I don't care if it's realistic, but
it's bat material.
Bat material.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm definitely thinking 6 out of 10. If you're really hyped, I imagine you'll convince yourself that it's good, but otherwise you will be disappointed by this movie.
Like a 7 for me is good and a 6 is okay.
It's definitely a 6.
I wouldn't say it's good, but I'd say it's a higher end okay movie.
It's okay. It's definitely okay. But I'm looking forward to the movies still. I still am interested in Flash, and I'm still interested in Wonder Woman, and I want to see them do Superman right still. They still haven't done Superman right. With their new Batman direction is alright. I can get used to it, but I want to see it move forward. This movie was not that good.
And also, another point is, for me, a movie that can be edited into a good movie with the material that's there gets a little bit of props for me. Kind of like Spider-Man 3.
No.
Like, the reason I like Spider-Man 3 is that there's a good movie in the crap. This one is the same way.
You have to judge what they put on screen, though. You can't say, well, this could have been good.
Well, okay, when you buy the Blu-ray, just fast forward the email scene. And then it's like, it's still awesome.
It should be cut out. The email scene should not be in the movie.
You can make a fan edit or just fast forward, and then it's still good.
Okay, well,
so
right.
It's still good. There's just some obvious stuff that's crappy.
Yeah, okay. Well, so there's our thoughts. Hopefully you enjoyed our first video review. 6 out of 10 for me, 6.9 for Nin. Hopefully you enjoy it. It was not that good for me. So that's Tay and Nin Talk. Bye.
Peace.